What's up, guys? Welcome back to the stack. My name is Aaron, and today we're checking out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Last Ronin figure. This is the battle damage figure. This is figure number 12 in the NECA'S lineup for the Last Ronin, and this figure is supposed to be out in the end of August, though it's starting to show up around at Walmart in the collectible section all over the US. So I want to give you guys a first look at the figure and give you a barcode to try and track it down yourself if you are looking for this figure to complete the collection. So let's take a look at the packaging before we get into the figure. With a standard NECA figure, you're getting kind of the same stuff here, where you have a package with a window box, a little flap there where you can see the figure. Check that out in a second. You have the Last Ronin artwork from the first issue. It's been kind of standard with all the other figures in the lineup. Last Ronin Battle Damage figure number 12. You have some images of the figure here on the back, taken by NECA Toys. Different heads, arms, book, and a close-up shot, as well as a description on the Last Ronin book. I will zoom in here so that way you can see it, and pause it if you want to read it. Get to know a little bit about what this is about. And what everyone wants to see is the artwork. Now, this artwork is done by Ben Bishop. Each figure in the lineup has had connecting artwork from 1 all the way to number 12. This is what I believe to be the final one, because there's really not a lot of artwork that crosses over. As you can see here, there is some artwork crossing over from the last issue. I'll give you an idea of what that looks like. If we put in the Michelangelo figure from the lineup, you can see that Michelangelo kind of hangs over the footbot that came before, and so on and so forth. Now, there is a chance, looks like the Last Ronin kind of ends there, and you do have a hand from the spirit of one of the other turtles kind of hanging over. As you can see here, it kind of crosses over there too. So there is the chance that there could be another figure, though this seems to be what we think might be the last figure in this lineup before they start the Lost Years figures, which we saw at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, which we know that that's their next focus. We do know that we're going to get an April and stuff like that at some point, and we're getting a Fugitoid accessory pack, though we see them here on Michelangelo, so I don't know if they're going to be part of this mural or if this is how it ends. Now, I also want you to just notice the box on this figure is a little bit bigger than the standard boxes, just because he's got some more accessories and he has a bigger figure than most. So if you look, if I stack them on top of each other, just so you can see here, there is a little bit of a bigger cut on this box than this one. And by cut, I just mean it's a bigger box in general. So let's take a look at the figure when we open up the flap. If I open it up, we get a nice posed image of the Battle Damage Last Ronin figure, as well as the figure itself. So you have the figure here. Don't know if you can see it very clearly. You have 3 heads along with the head that is on the body. You got Splinter's book opened. You got a cup and a teapot, and then it's kind of hard to see, but you have other arms and hands tucked on a second tray right behind the main figure. So that's what it looks like in packaging with the window open. Now let's take a look at the figure out of package so you can see what he's working with. Now, with the magic of editing, we have the figure outside of his package, struggling to read Splinter's book. I thought this was a cool pose for him. Just kind of hanging out there reading Splinter's book and the text that you will see inside here in a minute. Let's give you a 360 of the figure here in his little pose. Now you can see the figure does have some great shell detail, some battle damage, a nice black wash on the back. Awesome spots that are embossed on the figure. Great double jointed elbows. An all around good looking figure, all things considered, which is kind of what we've come to expect with these NECA Toys figures. So let's go ahead and pop this book out of his hand, and let me show you some of the accessories, and let's honestly start with the book itself. So here you have Splinter's book. Now, we've gotten this book before closed. Now we have it open here. Do have a little bit of teachings written by Master Splinter himself. Looks like different like karate moves, ninja moves, stuff like that. Nice looking book all around. Great detail. You have these extra arms that I'll show you here. These are his battle damage arms. These arms are the same as what you already see on the figure, but with bandages all over it. Kind of showing some battle damage there, which I think is pretty cool. We have his teapot. See if we can get that to focus, along with a little cup. Cup is pretty much what you'd expect. It almost looks like a little pencil eraser. And then the teapot itself, I'm actually holding it the wrong way. That's the handle. The teapot, short and stout. And then you have the other accessories. So he's got a couple different hands and heads. So let's take a look and show you now. First, on the arms, I'll just show you these first. He has gripping hands. So being able to hold, you know, maybe a sword or a weapon or something like that. He does not come with any weapons unless you consider the teapot one. But you have an open hand here, kind of relaxed hand. And you have one for both sides, as well as fists for both sides, and kind of just a like gripping hand, a little bit more aggressive than a relaxed hand, so it's not so straight, but it could be hanging at his side or something like that. Now there is a hand for each one that you see here, so there's two of them for either side, so you do have an option of 2 open hands, 2 kind of gripping hands, 2 face hands, or 2 open weapon holding hands. See if we can focus here. One for the left and right. Now we also do have some extra heads, so I'll show you those on top of the ones that are on the figure. You have this kind of smirking, angry head. This one doesn't have any battle damage on it. You do see the spotting there, which I think looks really, really good. You have a battle damaged head, and this is kind of a grinning, kind of looks angry, like you didn't just do that. Face with the bandages all around, which are embossed on top of the embossed spots, which I think is nice. You have a open screaming head, which I actually like. I like when you can kind of see the tongue. It does remind me of the Raphael head from this set. Again, bandages and stuff like that, but it does look very nice. And then you have the one that is on the figure itself. This kind of opened, like, what the heck? Or like half smirk face, along with that other open hand and gripping hand. So, let's kind of get him in a static pose. Now I want to show you what this figure looks like in comparison to some other figures from the lineup. Now this figure is number 12, like I said, but there have been 2 other Last Ronin figures. So here I'm going to bring them into the frame here. This is the Last Ronin unarmored and the armored Last Ronin figure. Now, these are the same character. You know, it's kind of hard to tell here. See if I can get it a little bit more focused. But these characters are all the same. Come on, work with me. Focus. There you go. Now, this Last Ronin battle damage figure is bigger than the other 2. Can't really say why. I don't know if that was just a choice by NECA or if there's a reason for that. Later in the book, you see kind of his backstory where Michelangelo goes through a second mutation. So these figures tend to be bigger than the other turtles in the line. That's totally normal. However, that mutation would have already happened by this point. So this figure shouldn't be bigger, per se, but maybe I have to reread the story because I could be wrong, but I don't think that I am. Let's compare these 2 since those 2 are pretty much the same figure except a different top half. So if you compare them here, you can see the shell looks significantly different. This one is definitely a lot bigger, along with cracks and chips and battle damage, which I honestly do really like the way that this figure looks in comparison to this shell. You can definitely tell that it's a separate piece, where this one is 2, but it just looks different. Don't really know how to explain that all that much. The arms, he is significantly buffer here, but you can really see the biggest difference if I flip it around. If you take a look at the shell, keep in mind that these are the same character. Even if I remove Leo's broken sword, that shell and that shell are 2 completely different things. That's a lot smaller, a little bit more rounded, no point on there. And you can see you have those kind of like octagon, hexagon type shapes here. You have them here as well. but they're smaller, and then these points that you would see here, they're just a little sharp point, not as big here. So I do think that it's interesting that the shell is different, but overall the figures do look good. Give you an idea of what those look like compared to each other, just since they are the same figure. So that's kind of a comparison with other figures in the lineup. Let's get this last Ronin figure out of the way, the unarmored one. And let's kind of give you a look at the articulation that you would expect with this figure. Head's on a ball joint. Honestly, 2 ball joints, one at the neck and one at the head. So you can look up really well, look down, left to right, all the same. Hands, ball joint at the elbow, or not the elbow, but like the upper arm here. There's a twist, double jointed elbows, and ball joint on the wrist. That's for both arms. Legs go forward and back. They are hindered by the shell, so they do not go very far forward and back. That's kind of where they stop. Arm pops, or leg pops out, excuse me, as well as the legs are double jointed at the knee. And then you also have a bend at the foot. It's very tight on the foot, so it does bend forward and back, as well as have a very good range for an ankle pivot. So overall, the figure is very poseable. It looks really good. You can get him into some cool poses. Let's switch out some body parts, actually, and show you what that looks like since the arms come out. So I'll show you how to do that. You can kind of raise the arms up and just give it a nice little tug. It'll just pop out of the joint like that. Now, when I got this figure, this arm was battle damaged, or not battle damaged, it was just damaged by NECA Toys. It was kind of glued in here, so it did kind of destroy the paint a little bit, but it's not that bad because you can't see it unless the arm is removed. Same thing with this one. Let's move this out. Cool, so you have a armless turtle. So let's grab these battle damaged arms, pop it in there. You can have him holding teapot here. Maybe if someone wants to drink some tea, we'll grab the other arm. This is the battle damage arm. Let's switch out the hand. Try maybe a gripping hand, if you will. Pop that on there. It is the standard kind of peg that you would come to expect with other NECA Toys and other figures in this line. See if we can pop it in there. This one does take a little bit more force. Kind of what you'd expect with NECA figures, for it to be pretty tough. You can have him holding his book. Let me grab his head. Let's put on the battle damage head. Personally, my favorite is this open mouth head. So kind of force it on there. Boom. And see if maybe he can read the book if it wants to hold. Or better yet, let's put the cup in his hand. Have him drinking tea. Very, what is this? Pose. Holding the teapot. So that's pretty cool. I also forgot to point out there is some waist articulation. You can see that this shell is a separate part. If you look underneath, it is just a bare turtle chest. So you can rotate it around. The front half of the shell is attached to the lower part of his body, and the top shell is attached to that upper part. So it doesn't hinder his butt at all. Doesn't hinder his front. So I'll give you an idea what that looks like. So that's kind of your first look at the battle damage Ronin. I do like the figure. He doesn't come with a lot of accessories or anything like that. So in order to kind of, if you want to trick him out, make him look kind of like, oh yeah, sick. I grabbed this katana. This is from the armored Last Ronin figure. And you can wedge it into his hand. Kind of have him striking a pose. Something cool like that. Maybe we take the Raphael sword. Kind of, probably the closed hand would be better, but still holds just like that. So if you want to pose him with weapons, you can. He just doesn't come with any of his own. Again, the accessories that he comes with are Splinter's book, the teapot, see if that'll focus, the teapot, and the cup, which are all cool accessories. But if you want to get him in a cool, like, fighting pose or something, you're going to have to steal weapons from some of the other figures, or maybe buy the accessory pack when it comes out. But yeah, that's pretty much a look at the Last Ronin figure. Before I kind of let you guys go, though, I want to make sure you guys have the barcode if you're hunting for it at maybe your local Walmart or something like that. I know they're starting to get the figure, so there's the barcode for you, along with other people that helped make that sculpt, which is awesome. So yeah, barcode there for you. And then I don't know if I showed you the top. Top is the same as all the other Last Ronin boxes. So there's the Last Ronin figure out of package, figure number 12, Battle Damage Ronin. Thanks for checking out the Stack's first look at this figure. Expect more toy reviews coming soon, but just want to give you an idea of what this figure looked like in comparison to some of the other turtles, the box, and stay tuned and see more reviews coming soon of other figures, NECA and otherwise. But enjoy your first look at the Last Ronin.